Oh, it is early in the morning, but it won't be by the time I get done watching this. It's okay, I've got my coffee, my donuts, my mascots Lloyd and Hugsy. I'll be fine. I'm not an expert on Danny Rand or Iron Fist in general going into this, so I doubt I'll be dropping much references like I did with Friends and the Joey reviews. I have seen everything in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that includes the Netflix series, and I've dug the hell out of the Netflix shows, so this is something that I'd be watching regardless of this binge watch show. But I do have a binge watching show now, so I might as well do something with Marvel's Iron Fist. I want to get more people watching my series. That way they'll stay tuned in when I'm talking about Baby Bob or some shit. I'm going by the pilot. I liked it. From the opening scene, which is the lobby fight with the security guards, it was a good setup. I thought the episode was intense. I was worried from the trailer, which didn't really leave much of an impression on me, but I can say that after watching this pilot, it's left me interested in seeing where it goes. It's like if the guy who delivers my sandwiches from the local hippie sub shop happened to know magical martial arts. I'm pretty sure Danny Rand exists in the same universe as Kung Fu The Legend Continues, and I really like that. The character I want to see more of is Tom Pelphrey as Ward Meacham, this young Gordon Gekko, Donald Trump Jr., Timothy Bryce from American Psycho-like businessman. There's something instantly threatening and sinister about this guy. He's one of those slick young businessmen who, where when you look him right in the eyes, all you see are rape fetish eyes. It's kind of chilling. The episode ends with a turn that I didn't see coming, and I want to see where it goes. I'm worried that where it goes might be really familiar territory. The weakest part of the pilot was the airplane flashbacks that instantly reminded me of Mark Webb's Spider-Man movies. But again, after just seeing the pilot, yeah, I liked it. So Danny Rand has been presumed dead for 15 years because he and his parents went down in a plane crash in the Himalayas, and I'm guessing evil business partner Harold Meacham has something to do with this. Just a hunch. Now that he's back, he not only wants some answers, but he's also the Iron Fist, which is the sworn enemy of the Hand. This could mean bad news for Rand Industries' business deals with China. This is the wackiest season of Dynasty I've ever seen. I'm honestly still entertained by this. Danny Rand spends most of the episode in a nut house, and I like his friendship with the patient who pretends to be a doctor and then tries to get him to off himself. I love characters slowly but surely figuring out that he is telling the truth about being Danny Rand, and it involves M&Ms. Colleen Wing is a fun character. She's a dojo master who has her students try to attack her on the street as if they're a street gang. Speaking of gangs, the Nut House has a gang of bullies. What? I could really do without all the flashbacks, whether it's the 50 times that I've seen the plane crash by now, or Danny sitting atop green screen mountain about ready to turn into Manimal. I'd rather that stuff just be left to my imagination, but I am still intrigued by this show. I haven't mentioned much yet about David Wenham's Harold Meacham as the villain, because there's not a lot to say. Ward Meacham carries himself Spader-esque and has the voice of David Duchovny. So far, he's my favorite part of this show. They bring in Jerry Hogarth from Jessica Jones, which was an awesome touch. If anything, because I love adding Carrie Ann Moss to anything, she was one of my favorite parts of Jessica Jones. At this point, I'm a little torn on Finn Jones as Danny Rand. At times, he's perfectly likable, and at other times, he seems like the kind of guy who would run a Twitter account that would condescendingly tell you about his love of tea and marijuana and third-party candidates. There's a scene where he's teaching students at the dojo, and it feels like Justin Timberlake telling you about karate. But there's an awesome cage match with Colleen Wing, and I love Ward's sister Joy Meacham being a brilliant businesswoman. The episode also has a great cliffhanger ending. Almost literally. Okay, I like Harold Meachum a lot better in this episode. They're starting to present him as like this tragic villain who used getting in with the hand as a means to cure his own cancer, which has left him isolated and cut off from his daughter and everyone else who thinks he's dead. But he's still gonna turn out to be evil. Danny is now part of the family business, and first things first, gotta stop Ward Meachum from being a pharma bro. Ward really seems like he has a dungeon. Not a pissy little Christian Grey dungeon, but a dungeon like in the Chiller game. I couldn't care less about the dojo students who say things to their sensei like, that's bullshit. But I love Colleen's cage matches. I've seen enough movies to know that if I see a small girl in a hoodie get into the ring with someone the size of John Cena, I'm betting on the small girl. I still don't know about Danny Rand. He's one backwards hat and a keytar away from having a kick-ass Animotion cover band, which makes scenes of him speaking Mandarin and talking about interdimensional monks really weird. There's a hallway fight scene that's not as good as previous series. It's all very choreographed, even with his sweet Street Fighter 2 special move. But nothing is making me lose interest. Oddly enough, I'm still very interested in this company's business deals. This is my favorite episode so far, mainly because my lunch came. Binge watching days are typically either pizza days or Chinese food days, and I had pizza while watching Joey, so for Iron Fist yeah, this makes sense. The episode starts out strong with selling needleless heroin via sex appeal. There's a great moment with Ward Meachum flipping the bird, and also a fantastic scene where we get to see high as fuck Ward Meachum. I really feel like this guy uses nail guns to pin hookers to drywall. I'm just guessing. So it turns out Colleen Wing happens to be teaching Claire Temple, because of course. Claire being introduced to this pretty much means that by the end of the episode someone's gonna be gravely injured, though we get to see a pretty cool quick fix with a credit card. Danny Rand sneaking around in a hoodie looks kinda like a Backstreet Boy avoiding paparazzi that just isn't there. When he says a prayer, it's like he's secretly dreaming about either Green Day or Hacky Sack. But I love the hand trying to get heroin pushed through the city via really shady Mr. Robot-like business deals. You know, I was fine with him in the pilot, but the more this goes on and the more material they give him, I'm to the realization that Finn Jones just really isn't carrying this. With his rolled up sleeves and tie, he looks like someone who's hitting the convention circuit because they never broke into hard drama after leaving the Mickey Mouse Club. He says lines like, "Whatever, Dad," with the gravitas of an older brother on a TGIF sitcom. But with that being said, that's not ruining the show for me. There is still some really good stuff here. A badass assassin is introduced while singing Aha on karaoke, seemingly after killing a room full of people. Tom Pelphrey gets more and more great as this series goes on. I love his subplot about being through painkiller withdrawal and shock. He's got an excellent scene where he goes into urgent care and it's like something out of Leaving Las Vegas. I'm seeing a lot of people who really aren't digging this, but I'm still with it. I like that it's a corporate thriller with martial arts and severed heads. I was beginning to wonder where the hell Harold Meachum has been, but he comes back into it and leaves it with a bit of a vengeance. The Harold Meachum character kind of bored me at first, but I grew to really enjoy his appearances, and the sight of him bashing teeth out of corpses with a hammer was pretty cool. His last scene is a great piece of acting too, not just on his part, but Tom Pelphrey's. My god, this guy is great in this show. Pelphrey doesn't just act circles around the lead, he acts globes around him. His freak out upon learning that he lost all of his embezzlement money is pretty chilling. Danny Rand does have a love scene in this, and it feels like someone hitting on you at a rave by showing you this sweet chest tattoo they drew on with a Sharpie. When he gets really intense in the episode, it's like a dude bro screaming at you about how much he loves the movie Torque. What's keeping me interested in this is everything going on with Rand Industries. Way more than all the stuff happening with Iron Fist taking on the Hand in China. I love Ward's blood visions, plus he enjoys disagreements over their severance package after getting terminated, and the blackmail plot they're doing in order to get their jobs back. I also love that Ward's not a straight-up sociopath. He's a guy who's pretty evil, but he's very much aware of it, and it kind of kills him on the inside that his sister respects him. But there's also good stuff with Danny Rand here. He and Claire Temple and Colleen Wing have good dialogue on a plane about sparing life versus killing, and I'm pretty sure there's a scene in which Iron Fist fights the Drunken Master. I'm so tired right now. I've been watching since about 5 a.m. because I couldn't sleep last night. I need a coffee break bad. Well, this episode started out with a holy fuck. Harold Meacham's back. Mental note, never write someone off on here just because they were murdered and thrown into a swamp. I love how much more layered this character gets every episode he's in. He's a bit brain dead at the beginning of this episode from, you know, being dead, to the point to where near the beginning he sticks his hand in boiling water at a hot dog vendor. Hell, he even forgives his son for killing him, and then kills his poor assistant with an ice cream scoop, and then apologizes to him. I guess you would consider this a subplot? I don't know, but it's so much more interesting than Iron Fist interrogating Chinese Linda Hunt. Danny Rand interrogates people with the intensity of Ryan Dunn after sticking a race car up his ass. Danny's bye Lloyd. Danny's like a minor character in his own series, but I love everything else surrounding him. From curing Colleen, Danny has to spend a lot of this episode getting his energy back up, which probably just involves a bottle of Sobe green tea and arcade fire. We find out that Colleen is part of the Hand, and her sensei Bakuto appears to be the new villain here. I'm really not even sure if the Meachams are necessarily villains. I can't lie, at this point, I really am rooting for the Meachams. Dude and his kids just want their company back and he wants away from the Hand. I understand this. And murderous Harold Meacham scenes are way better than Danny yelling at Colleen as if she just took his last can of Stag. I actually gotta take about a 2-hour break and leave here in a few minutes because I gotta go catch a screening of the Belko Experiment, so if you see me wearing the same clothes in that review, you'll know why. Except I'll probably have the Bugs Bunny hat on. I'm back! After escaping the Myrist compound from the path, our hero reacts as if he's really shocked he just teleported into his favorite RPG. Iron Fist has trouble containing his anger, but when he reacts violently and says things like, "I need to find my chi," it just reminds me of when they tried making Taylor Lautner an action hero. I'm not entirely sure why this universe would have a character laugh at the concept of dragons existing, especially when your lead was in Game of Thrones. Danny now has a partner in Davos, a mystical monk, and when we saw him earlier, he was tossing throwing stars into a wall, which were made out of tinfoil. So there's another character more badass than Danny. Danny is so unappealing that for a while, I was rooting for the good faction of the Hand. Basically, we have two sets of characters, Danny and company and plus the Meachams, both of which are trying to take down the Hand. And guess which one I'm more interested in? The Meachams! Ward is back, which thank God I'm a bit more interested now. He was MIA in the last 2 episodes because of a nut house. I love Ward desperately trying to convince his sister that their father is evil, and him becoming increasingly frustrated when she won't escape with him. If there's an alternate cut that makes Ward Meacham the lead character in this series, I want to see that. When Danny calls somebody a piece of garbage and says, "You can't tell me what to do," it's like he's talking to his least favorite coworker at Starbucks. Oh, and the biggest laugh of the series, Harold Meacham mocking a coughing man in a hospital. It's all come down to this, a rooftop fight scene. I won't spoil it for you if someone falls off. Oh, and the Hand invaded Kunlun. They really tore apart that leftover set from The Last Airbender. Danny also finds out that Harold is evil and that Harold had something to do with Danny's parents' death. So, Danny's stupid. Look, there's no denying the obvious. Finn Jones sucks in this. For a character that has issues with rage and violence, he acts like he's throwing a temper tantrum because his daddy took away his keys to his sweet vet. There's nothing charming, intimidating, or charismatic about this performance. I could think of some names just off the top of my head who would be far better at playing this role. Guys like Clayne Crawford, John Gallagher Jr., or Aaron Paul. They would add the intensity that this character really needs. As it is here, he's just a non-threatening hipster Bruce Wayne, and there's no rising above that. But with that being said, if they went towards something like Power Man and Iron Fist, I could see Finn Jones working well opposite Luke Cage. If he had someone larger than life to bounce off of, it could elevate his performance. I'm hoping that's what happens in The Defenders, because this guy cannot carry his own series. But there is still some good stuff here. Everything with the Meachums was captivating, well acted, and kept me interested in the series through and through. Characters like Ward Meachum were the saving grace. Because of him, I never felt defeated while watching this show. The fight scenes are well choreographed, if a bit redundant after a while. Because of its shitty lead, the show is not as good as the other Netflix Marvel series, but that doesn't mean that as a whole I think it's bad. As of now, the show has a 17 on Rotten Tomatoes, and Fuller House has a 32. That's insane! There's still more to offer in this series than in any of the thousands of network procedurals or soulless reality shows, but goddamn, they needed a different lead actor. Now, if you'll excuse me, the final season of Roseanne awaits me. I may be missing Danny Rand after that.